Bahala, nah. This is not a good day. I don't know. My phone went dead again because of I don't know. It does that where it'll say I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to explain it because I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, back to Geronimo. I was telling you about the Apache Scouts. They were the turncoats. They were traitors. They fought on the side of the American Army. Throughout history, you've always had turncoats and traitors who would fight on the side of the enemy. And so these Apache Scouts, that's what they did. They decided that, they would be on the side of the American Army. And they helped track down Geronimo, and they helped convince Geronimo to surrender. Well, those same Apache Scouts, the United States Army decided that they did not want to give these Apaches a pension. Because if they're in the military, then they're entitled to a pension, just like the white soldiers and even the black buffalo soldiers. You're entitled to a pension, okay? You are entitled to a pension. And so what the Army did was they disbanded the unit. They disbanded the unit and took away their uniforms, took away their guns, and then they arrested them for being Apaches and put them on the very same prison train that Geronimo had to get on to go to Florida. Now, I don't know what you call that. To me, I call it racism. I call it greed. I call it ignorance. I just call it American imperialism. I don't know what the hell you call it, but that's what they did. Geronimo did not harbor any ill feelings towards these Apache Scouts who were now on the same prison train going to the same prison. Geronimo understood that, hey, y'all was bored. Y'all had to do something, so I ain't mad at you. You did what you had to do. But they sent Geronimo, the Apache Scouts, the Apaches who jumped the reservation with him, and eventually they ended up rounding up all the Apaches, 465, almost 500 Apaches, and sent them all to that prison in St. Augustine. That was men, women, children, babies, and elders. Now, you want to ask me why they did it? I don't know. Y'all have to look that up, but I mean, that's wrong, y'all. The very people who you asked to help fight for you, then that's what you do to them. Not only do you deny them a pension, then you sit up there and you deny them a pension, but then you sit up there and arrest them and send them to the same prison as the people who they help you capture for you. Hey, Mabel, I hope you're getting it. At least you got here for part 2, right? Okay, now we're going to go to Bahala Na. June 16th, World Local Events. Portland, Oregon, the grand jury indicts Corey Budworth of the Portland Police Department for brutality. Okay? Now, if you see the video, what happened was it was a Black Lives protest, and the police was clearing out the area. For some reason, they don't know how to do that when it comes to white people, white supremacists in the Capitol, but they sure know how to do it when it comes to black folks and white allies. But they're clearing the area, and this cop, Corey Budworth, is seen taking his billy club and hitting one of the protesters in the back as the protesters walk away. The protesters not fighting the police. The protesters walking away, leaving the area like they being told, and the cop hits her, a female, in the back of the head. The protester falls down, tries to get up. She's on her sitting down on the sidewalk. The cop walks up to her, takes his billy club, and pushes her in the face with his billy club. So the grand jury indicted Corey Budworth. And the Portland Police Union says, hey, he was doing his job. It's unfortunate that he hit her in the back, but, that was unfortunate, but he was going by what his training was. So the grand jury indicted him. I guess my question is, it's funny how the grand jury can indict Corey Budworth on hitting this white woman protester in the back and get indicted, but they don't indict for when they kill us. And don't get me wrong, I love my white allies because the white allies, they're good. They're on our side. Anyway, that's what happened there. London, England. You guys, there's a football player. Well, the rest of the world, soccer is known as football. Here in this country is known as soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo. He's doing an interview for an upcoming football match, and they put 2 bottles of Coca-Cola in front of him. Well, this dude pushes the Coca-Cola bottle cans off to the side, takes a bottle of water, holds it up, and says, agua. And that thing went viral because it was at a press conference. Coca-Cola lost $4 billion. Let me show you that again. They lost $4 billion because of that gesture. So here's to you, Cristiano Ronaldo. Thank you. You did a good job. It's not going to make me stop drinking Coca-Cola, but I love the fact that you did that. All right, Geneva, Switzerland. President Biden and that Russian Putin, they had their meeting. Now, what happened at the meeting, I don't know. What's going to come of the meeting, I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. Putin does not like Biden because Putin is nothing like his boy Trump, Donald Duck. So that's that. All right, here we go. History. South Carolina, there was an execution on June the 16th, today's date, June 16th, in 1944. On this date, this man right here, why don't I call him a man? He's a little kid. George Junius Steiny Jr., 14 years old. I say it again, he's 14 years old. And I want you to understand something. 14 years old, he's less than 5 feet tall. He weighs less than 100 pounds, maybe 90, if that. Okay, this is in the South, so he's accused of killing 2 little white girls, one 11 years old and one 7 years old. And I don't know where somebody who's less than 5 feet and weighs less than 90 pounds is able to kill 2 kids, and one gets killed and the other one stands and waits their turn to get killed. And he allegedly killed them and then moved their bodies, okay? Move their bodies, and he's able to do this like that. So an all-white jury took 10 minutes to find him guilty. Now, George was so small that the prison guards had to use the King James Bible as a booster seat. You imagine that? Took a Christian Bible as a booster seat, put it on the electric chair, and put George on that booster seat, okay? And then they put the electric thing on George's head, and then they put the mask on his head, and then they took a strap and strapped his mouth so he wouldn't yell, and then they electrocuted him. Well, when they did it, the steel thing that you put on the head when you get electrocuted, that came off, and the mask fell off, and everybody, the witnesses, are watching this little 14-year-old boy fry up in there, and it was really gruesome and everything. So that was that. The conviction was finally vacated on the grounds that, he didn't get a fair trial. Duh. And that happened on December 17th, 2014. How many years later was that? Okay. All this took place when the United States Army was fighting in World War II, when thousands upon thousands of African Americans in segregated army units was fighting for democracy against the Nazis, the fascists, Japanese imperialists in Europe and in Asia. The same time when Mexicans and Latinos were fighting during this time. And when Japanese whose parents and families lived in concentration camps were fighting for democracy. And this is what was going on. Now, for the longest, I always thought George Steiny Jr. was the youngest child to be executed. But I did some research, and Hannah Okuish, 12 years old, of the Pequot tribe, New London, Connecticut, was hanged for murder on December the 20th, 1786. Allegedly, because you know how they blame us for everything. She allegedly killed a white girl over some strawberries. I'm gonna leave that one alone, because y'all already know everything was already against her. You know, she's native indigenous. She's out here with all these white people in New London, Connecticut, 1786. Hell, they was burning white women and hanging white women for witchcraft. So you know how they felt about native people, but I leave that one alone. Mary, 13 years old, she was an enslaved African in Missouri. And she was hanged also for murder in August 21st, 1838. Now, her case, I can't really call it based on what I read. She was being a nanny. How you 13 years old and being a nanny to a 2-year-old? And allegedly, she went to go pick wood for massa, and they told her to take the baby, take this 2-year-old toddler, so they wouldn't have to watch her. So, you know, let Mary do it. Mary came back without the toddler. They found the toddler in the river dead. So, yeah, she was hung. Celia. Now, Celia was 19 years old when she was hanged, okay? Another enslaved African in Callaway, Missouri. When she was hanged for murder in December 1855. But let me tell you about her case. Her slave master, this dude right here, Robert Newsom, bought Celia when she was 14 years old. Bought her on a slave market, brought her back to his home in Missouri, and on the way to the home, he raped her. Now, slaves, especially female slaves, have no rights. Master can do whatever they want. And not only did they do whatever they want, but they would loan out their female slaves to white men who were traveling and needed a place to stay for the night, and they would like, here, take my slave girl. And that's what they did. So Celia had 2 children by this white man. By the time she was 19 years old, she had just got tired of this stuff, and she was pregnant again. And she told Robert, and Robert was an old dude. He wasn't no young white man. He was an old white man, probably 60s or something. And she told him, I ain't trying to mess with you no more. Don't do it. Don't do it. And so she said, don't come over. She had her own little slave cabin away from the big house, because he had found him a white woman that he married and had kids by the white woman. But, you know, he always had to have bed warmer. Thank you, Mabel, his bed warmer. And she told him don't come over, but he said, I'm coming over, I'm going to get some. He came over there and tried to get some, and she had a big old stick. I don't know where she got the stick. She had a big old stick. She popped that white man in the head, and he fell down. And then she tried to run out the cabin, and he grabbed her, so she grabbed that stick, and she popped him in the head again. She hit him so hard, she killed him. Well, it's self-defense, because she's being raped. But again, she is a slave. Slaves have no rights, especially African women slaves. They have no rights. So she tried to cover it up. She cut his body up and put him in the fireplace and was, burning them all night. And I guess nobody in the big house could smell human flesh burning, but she had chopped them up, chopped them up and burned them, and then took the bones and was scattering the bones everywhere, and then took ashes and took the ashes and spread them across the road. She did Robert Newsom's grandson. I think the grandson was maybe 8 years old. She got the grandson. She said, "I'm gonna give you 2 dozen walnuts if you take these here ashes out my fireplace and go throw them in the road." And that's what the little dude did. Anyway, they had a trial, and she was found guilty, and they hanged her on December 21st, 1855. So I learned something. It wasn't just George Stein Jr. was not the youngest. Hannah Oshies and Mary. Celia, she started off at 14, but she was hung at 19. And I saw something from wait a minute. Hey Peggy, I saw something you put on here. Wait, where you at, Peggy? Peggy. Every time I move the words and stuff, okay. Yeah, Peggy, yeah, Geronimo was the man. Paratroopers jump out of the airplanes yelling Geronimo. He did what he had to do to survive. He was a prisoner of war all the way until he died at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And I feel bad and I feel sorry for him, but I really feel bad for the Apache scouts. I mean, they were turncoats. They were traitors. They fought against their own people. I mean, I'm sure they killed Apache renegade, what the white man called renegades. I'm sure that they killed Apache freedom fighters. Call them freedom fighters. The native indigenous people who fought against the American government were freedom fighters. And these turncoats was on this side. But I think it says a lot for Geronimo to tell his own people, hey, we're not going to hate on them. They Apache just like us, regardless of what they did. So anyway, y'all, I just wanted to put all that out there and ask all of you to keep your prayers and your thoughts for all those who have died from coronavirus, all those who have coronavirus, those who had to go to the hospital for surgery and operations and everything else, from physical, emotional, mental stress that people are going through and, dealing with. I'm also asking you to keep in your prayers and your thoughts all, and I say all, those who have been killed by thugs, by drug dealers, by the Ku Klux Klan, the police, law enforcement, FBI, the Nazis, the gangbangers, rebels, government troops, vigilantes, road rage, co-workers, terrorists, domestic violence, ethnic genocide, white supremacists, the maggots, the Trumpicans, the Trumpansies, people who had died for being in the wrong place at the wrong time because somebody decided to get drunk, somebody decided to get high, or somebody decided to steal a car or go to a sideshow, and while leaving, they end up getting in an accident and killing somebody innocent. So, also I'm asking you, please look up Ronald Green, murdered by the Louisiana State Police on May the 10th, 2019. And that's the thing. I had some mishaps. One, I can't believe I did it. I actually sat here and thought I was doing a shout out the whole time. It wasn't even recording. It shows you how stupid I am. But I finally got it. And then it goes dead on me while I'm talking about Geronimo. So I want to thank you, Mabel. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Paulette, for coming on here. And thank you anybody else who gets on here later on. I appreciate y'all. Excuse my not not knowing how to push the button. I should have, would have, could have, but I didn't, and that's on me. But anyway, hey y'all, get vaccinated if you so choose. It's your choice. All right, I didn't have mine. Wear a mask if that's your choice. I will continue to wear my mask even though I've been vaccinated. And even though the state of California officially opened up everything yesterday, but I'm going to wear my mask on a need-to basis whenever I think it's necessary, especially when I go inside. So, let me get up out of here. Mabuhay. Amandla uwetu. Ashe. Harambe. Hokahe. Mahalo. Jayu. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum assalam. Insha'Allah. Wakanda forever. You know, peace be with you. All that other good stuff. And Bahala Na. Remember, Bahala Na is Tagalog for it is what it is. What will be, will be. It's the same thing as saying que sera, sera, or say la vie. But it also means, Bahala Na also means, it's like when we fall down, when we're going through some things, we get back up and we continue to struggle. We continue to struggle. No matter how hard the struggle is, we continue to struggle. It's like when my phone went, I know this ain't even a real struggle, but my phone went dead, okay? And it said, and I just stopped it and went on to Bahala Na Part 2. I mean, that's all I can do. I'm not going to sit up here and be yelling and screaming. Ah! I could, but I'm not. Anyway, y'all, thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all. Peace. One love. Got my glasses on. See that? I got my glasses on today. Got my glasses on.